Let's explore this further now with energy sector analyst and Energize magazine editor Roger Lilly. Roger, good evening and thanks for your time. So we're looking at the explanation from Eskom saying severe supply constraint being experienced, high levels of unplanned breakdowns that have exceeded the 10,500 megawatts limits, and they go on and on. We have mention of Medupi and something on the conveyor belt. So do we buy the reason?
Well, if the conveyor belt has broken down at a brand new power station, I think that's a very bad indictment on Eskom's constructors. How do you build a brand new power station that's supposed to operate for 25 to 40 years? And before it's a few years old, the conveyor system, which is crucial, it carries the coal to the furnaces. No coal in the furnaces means no fire, means no electricity.
I mean, and yet again, here we are with Medupi, which has been a bugbear for the country, one of them, just almost like a white elephant.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So you have to wonder, guys, really, how much longer do we have to put up with this?
Well, precisely. I mean, is it ever going to be finished properly and operate properly? But then on top of that, they have these tube leaks, the boiler tube leaks, so and that can't be allowed to just leak because that does damage to the plant, so that has to be shut down. Mr. Ober's also says that another 3 units may have to be shut down, which is going to plunge us into greater depths of load shedding, quite possibly, and it's going to continue all week at least.
Yeah. Now, we had some warning last month saying that this might be the case, that, if the worst comes to the worst, this is what might happen. But just looking at the short notice that we received this morning, that also, I mean, it just doesn't seem right. I mean, why wouldn't they say this? If they say they knew about this or they started experiencing problems on Saturday, why not tell us from then?
Well, that's a very good question, and I do think the power utility needs to be called up on that. And I think Mr. Mabuza, the chairperson and acting CEO, needs to answer that question very candidly to the public. It's unacceptable.
And just looking at the impact of this, Roger, I mean, already, we're seeing what it's done to the rand, dragging it down. We've already seen some of those matric pupils who now have been impacted. Quite a few centres, dozens of centres actually, and especially in the Western Cape. I mean, surely there should have been some kind of consideration for what time of year this is, and especially when it came to the notice.
Right. Yeah. Well, summertime is traditionally the time when Eskom does most of its maintenance. And obviously what went wrong was that as they took units down for maintenance, they increased the load on other plant, which has now failed and needs unplanned maintenance. So we're now more than a quarter of our generating capacity offline. On top of that, of course, we know that the Koeberg nuclear plant in the Cape, which is the most reliable plant we've ever built, one of the 2 units is down for refueling, which of course is something that has to be done. We have to refuel it every now and again. So it's just a bad time, but it's really unacceptable.
So, I mean, just considering where we are at the moment and considering where Eskom is at the moment, already we knew they've been asking for bigger hikes. We know that they're taking, NERSA's going to court or planning taking NERSA to court over this. And, the sort of suspicious person in me is kind of going, is this a threat? Is this Eskom saying, look what we can do if we don't get what we want? But that would make it very mafia style, wouldn't it?
It would. And to be truthful, increasing the tariffs isn't going to fix this problem.
Yeah, and we've had the increases and still.
Exactly. If what they tell us is true, and I have no reason to doubt that, then these are technical problems which all the money in the world is not going to fix. We need technical solutions. The biggest concern is that I don't see any real sense of urgency on the part of Eskom, on the part of the Department of Energy, on the Department of Public Enterprises to solve this. In 2008, when rolling blackouts started, they jumped around very quickly, established an IPP office, and got independent power producers to start adding power to the network. That's not happening. That's not. In fact, a lot of what's being said is contrary to that, and a lot of criticism is being placed on the very people that the government brought in to help the country have its power.
Why do you think that's not happening?
Because Eskom are too used to having a monopoly, and they are frightened of losing that monopoly.
scared of letting go,
Yes.
wanting to be in control of things
Absolutely.
all the time, when it pretty much seems like they actually can't maintain that
And
control.
and that's right.
Yeah.
And now they prove they can't do it. So I think we need to really expedite the breaking up of Eskom and get the parts of Eskom, namely distribution and transmission, which work properly, separated and under management that can keep it going. And generation needs to be privatized or restructured in such a way that it becomes reliable.
Okay, thanks very much, Roger Lilly. Let's see what happens. Another week of this is what we have to put up with. Let's hope that's as long as it lasts this time around.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that insight.